First of all, thank you for coming out. I know what a great position of honor it is to be speaking at 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock before a 3-day holiday. So I really appreciate everyone being here. Let me share a dirty little secret, though. This is something that ends when you're in school. I know that I have an office full of people that are waiting to get out and hit the traffic, which I believe is where one of our presenters is today also. But my name is Dan Davis, and I am a Director of Human Resource at MetLife. We're a New York-based company, but we have a very large operation in Warwick, Rhode Island, which is where I work. And first off, I want to say that it has been just a wonderful experience for us to get involved with Diversity Week this year. This is actually our first level involvement with it. And I think it's wonderful for us both professionally to get involved, and I will share that personally, it's been very, very rewarding. It is a long, long time ago that I was in college, but when I was there, I was very much involved in diversity initiatives, and being here this week has really brought me back to college. Now, part of the joy of human nature and one of our defense mechanisms is that you always remember the positive things. So I'm thinking back about, a lot of the great conversations, a lot of the great lectures, a lot of the great debates that I was able to take part of when I was in school. But hearing Dr. Dash just immediately before this presentation reminded me of a similarity that my graduating year will have with, what will likely be some of your graduating years. And that's that it was a very tough economy, very difficult to get jobs, and a lot of people did a lot of work to do it. Now, I'm not going to end your week with a negative spin. What I want to say is the reason that we're having this session today is to help you take advantage of the fact that you're not in the full-time workforce yet, or at least most of you aren't, and that you have an opportunity to do things between now and the time you graduate to prepare you for the full-time workforce. There are a lot of different things that you can do academically, that you can do via your extracurricular activities, that you can do in terms of self-development, networking, and marketing yourselves, all of which you'll have a chance to do, and we want to share some of those secrets with you. We're going to talk about those things in general, and we're also going to be talking about one program in particular, the Inroads program, which I can tell you has been just one of the most wonderful programs I've ever had the joy of participating with. It's a program that our next presenter will be talking about, but it's also a program that we've had just almost all of our interns in Rhode Island and across the country come through, and we've also had the ability to and the privilege of converting most of those interns into full-time employees when they're done. So the people that are going to be speaking today, first of all, Carlos Cedeno, who's the manager with Inroads up in Boston. Carlos. And he is part of he is up in Boston, and Rhode Island is actually part of his territory. We also have Jean Oberg, who is a current URI student, so you get some perspective from a current student. And we have, I see one, and I hopefully we will have two people representing the experience who've gone through it at MetLife. Christina Shaw, who is a recent graduate of Bryant College, and she'll talk about her experience, and Yamira Reyes, who graduated about 5 years ago, I believe, from Providence College. So with no further ado, so we can get to the weekend ASAP, let me turn it over to Carlos.
Thank you, Dan. All right. Well, welcome. I'm here to just talk to you a little bit about some of the things that you should be thinking about now in terms of preparing yourself for jobs in the 21st century. And so I'm going to share a little bit about what we do, how we do it, and how we partner with companies such as MetLife and how we help them with their diversity initiatives. And so we're going to share some statistics with you in terms of, I'm going to go back and forth with a couple of presentations here, so I do apologize. But I wanted to share these statistics because I think they're worth sharing with you. And so when you look at, in terms of how long does it take a person to find a job after graduation, anybody care to guess? I'm sorry? 6 to 7 months. There you go. You guys saw the answers. That's why. So, but basically, when you look at how many resumes a hiring manager receives for each job postings, that's what you're looking at right there. And in this economy, probably that number is a little higher. And this is how long a manager has, to review some of those resumes. And lastly, we've been ranked in the top 15 or top 10 internship programs for the last 15 years in the Princeton Review. So really, I just want to touch upon this 30-second here, because I think it's important for you to understand what that means in terms of your resume writing. It's got to be impactful. And so this is the opportunity for you to start getting involved now here in your campus community and finding summer internships, however you can find it. You need to start. We all know where the career service is, but some of us don't visit it until second semester, senior year. You're freaking out. You don't have a job. But it's there. The people are there to really help you understand what your major is all about and what opportunities exist for you within your major. And then you may be majoring in something, then realize that you can find a job that's totally unrelated. And so I think it's very important in terms of the resume piece is to get involved early and often. And even if you're a first-year student, and you can't find an internship that's, office-based, but, to find, a summer job that gives you experience on dealing with people, on customer service, and to give you an opportunity to really develop yourself to deal with different people, and that's really important in your development. And so as you prepare your resume, you want to have some of those experience that are transferable. And then I'm actually going to go right into this this little thing here, because it kind of explains, and I think you can pretty much translate it to many other opportunities. But once you become an Inroads intern, it's because in one of our partnering companies, such as MetLife, have made you an offer for summer internship. So once you're an intern, what we do is, before we get there, is the candidate prep session, which we show you the nuts and bolts of how to prepare for an interview, how to dress for an interview, what kind of questions to ask, what kind of questions not to ask. Also, how to do your research and do your due diligence. So when you go into that interview, you are knowledgeable about that company and that industry, because I think it's very important. And so once we do that and get that out of the way, then we send you to the opportunities, and you get the interview, you get the job offer. Then that's when you start the year-round coaching. I'm a manager at Inroads, and my job is to make sure that the interns that are assigned to me are knowledgeable about their company, their industry, their major, make sure that the grades are up to par, and also to make sure that I'm helping them develop their soft skills, how to develop relationships, boss relationships, how to really get involved on campus so that you can develop some of the skill sets and the competencies that are going to be very helpful to you at your job during the summer or your internship. So that's what we do, and it's one of the things you want to do is you want to start talking to people that can coach you through some of these things and educate you on soft skills that are crucial to your development and advancement in a corporate setting. So the grades are great. It gets you in the door. It could land you that entry-level position. But then what's really going to launch your career is how do you deal with ambiguity? Can you make a decision in the absence of someone around you that that needs to that you need to go to get the appropriate channels to make a decision. And I used to work for someone who says the worst decision you can make is not make a decision at all. So those are the things that we really teach you, we coach you through that process. And during the summer, we do an evaluation. We evaluate you. We want to make sure that you're doing well and that you're meeting the goals and objectives that were set aside for you when you start that internship. And then once we do that, we do some of the workshops that would help you with your soft skills and how to develop relationships and how to work with people who have different styles than you do, and et cetera, et cetera. And then at the end, what we do is we want to make sure that you are prepared for that full-time employment upon graduation. And so I am going to, with that said, I want to invite Gene Alberg, who is our intern, and he is going to be graduating in May, and then going into a fifth-year program. So I'm not gonna steal his thunder. I'll let him talk to you about his experience, how Inroads has helped him develop, and just understand that some of these things, they're universal. So without further ado, Gene.
I'm not really big on public speaking, so please excuse me. My name is Gene Norberg. I'm a senior at the University of Rhode Island. I'm an accounting and economics major, and yes, I'm going to my 5th year working on my 150. I'm an accounting major, so I have to sit for the CPA exam, so I'm working on that. And I actually received a full-time offer to work at PricewaterhouseCoopers once I graduate, so that's something that's put my mind rest, and I owe that a lot to Inroads and their training, and they're very responsible for a lot of my process and my allowing myself to develop as a young man as well as an individual within corporate America and as a student. I mean, Carlos made the point to say that they constantly coach you and teach you the proper way of doing certain things throughout the year, not only during the internship. And I guess I could focus more on the summer. I interned for PricewaterhouseCoopers since my freshman year, and that was back in 07, 08. And I've interned with them until this summer after I received my full-time offer. And that's thankful to Inroads. They polished me up, they helped me put together my resume, they helped me actually sit in and learn the proper etiquette and language to speak to individuals that I've never interacted with. I mean, I'm from Providence, Rhode Island. I went to inner city high school, so I mean, jumping from Mount Pleasant High School into corporate America where it's fast-paced, it's different, the jargon's completely different, the environment is completely different. And being a person of color, it was a change, but it wasn't a culture shock because Inroads actually helped me sit down and honestly learn the etiquette and the proper way of dealing with certain environments and certain situations that I found myself in. And just to focus on the coaching around the clock, either through emails, I'm getting emails saying, Gene, please call me, or if I'm in Boston, Gene, please come see me. I mean, I ran into my mentor while I was at the mall, and we sat down and had a conversation, met his family, we had a good little meal, it was real entertaining, and we also learned that you're also an individual, and they'll help you no matter what the circumstances is. Like during the course of the semester, I personally had some unfortunate family issues, and Inroads was there to guide me and help me through the situation, so I stayed focused as a student because we all need that fan base, we all need that support as young students because we will find ourselves at that point where we just can't pull anything out. We just need somebody just to uplift us and give us some hope, and we just need advice, honestly. I mean, Carlos and I wasn't even supposed to be here. It was a coincidence. I was actually driving and I was blasting my music and I happened to scroll down my window. I saw Carlos walking by and he told me that he was actually doing a presentation. I was more than happy to just, say, I'm more than willing to help. Anything. He told me 4 o'clock, be here and be dressed. And I was here without fail. So, I mean, it's that kind of environment. I mean, I wouldn't do that for anybody else unless somebody really, really would do the same thing for me. I mean, Carlos is no longer my mentor. He was my original mentor, but he's still been that beneficial to me. Whenever I had an issue, whenever I had a mistake, anything, he would contact me. And he kept it 100 with me. That's how I like to describe when people honestly tell me the truth and they don't lie to me, they don't tell me anything. During the course of the summer, just to say a little more on me, this past summer I worked in tax practice at PwC, and just Inroads trainings, and that's something I can focus on. Inroads has day-long trainings from 8 a.m. probably to 5. It sounds a little intense, but it's all beneficial. The workshops are all beneficial. I mean, we learn how to manage our money financially, because as young people, we honestly don't know how to manage our money. I mean, I was just calling the bank right now to just make sure my credit cards are in line for my next payment. And it was thanks to Inroads and those workshops, and also learning how to actually be your own boss and brand yourself when you go into corporate America. Because we want to know how to carry ourselves and discuss certain things. Because we find ourselves in so many circumstances where we don't have the words to just speak. We get lost in that all the time, and Inroads actually helps you. They provide you with packets, they provide you with literature, they provide you with just hands-on interaction. I mean, more than anything, as young people, as a young person, I'll tell you this, college will teach you a lot, but experience is something completely different. And thanks to Inroads getting my foot in the door, I was able to learn so much more. I know what it is to be an accountant, not just be an accounting student. I mean, when I describe myself, I say I'm an accountant because I worked within SPA, audits, I worked within insurance, I worked within tax, I worked within IT. And that's all thanks to Inroads really guiding me and constantly staying on me throughout the summer. Whenever I had an issue, I mean, that's another thing. Their support system is beautiful. I mean, fortunately for me, while I've been at PwC, I've never encountered a situation where I really like, wow, I've been disrespected or I felt like I needed to defend myself. But I have heard situations like that, and Inroads is always going to be behind their interns 110%, if not more. If you feel any kind of way, you speak to your advisor, they discreetly speak to that individual or to your HR person. Like my intern was treated unfairly. I would like this to be reconciled as soon as possible. They deal with that. And that's something that's very beneficial with Inroads. And I guess student to student, do you mind if they ask me questions? Students to students? I mean, I'm more than willing to answer any questions. I mean, who's business? Any business majors? Accounting, finance? Accounting, to be more exact. You have any questions? I mean, isn't it easy just to ask an accounting major?
You know, I'm an accounting major.
Yeah.
I'm interested, were there any significant challenges that you found in this summer internships? Did you see anything that you would say, that's a little tough?
Challenges, I mean, just being, I mean, I was 18 years old, right? Yeah, my first internship in corporate America, 18 years old. Do you mind if I talk about like salary, what I got paid for the summer? At PwC, my first summer, I got paid $22 an hour with time and a half. Just learning to manage that kind of money was intense. I mean, my first paycheck, it was something like $3,000, $4,000. It was my knees buckled when I first saw it. And just that, and also just to be more precise in like the difficult situations, just being 18 years old in that fast-paced life, being told you have to do this responsibility or do this assignment correctly, and knowing that you don't know what you're doing, but you need to perform. This is not the classroom where the professor will erase and you can start over. This assignment that you're submitting is going to a client. And that client's going to say whether or not this is efficient. And if you mess up, it's going to get back to your partner or your director, and you're going to be held responsible. Luckily, I've been able to never, ever cross that barrier where I failed, but that's something that I constantly, you know, every day I woke up in the morning, is my shirt on properly? If I'm walking to the office right, did I do that assignment that was signed the day before properly? Because usually partners and directors will stay over late at night and go over each piece of work, and they'll report to you in the morning and let you know what's going on. So that was that was a shock. Learning to step out of your boundaries. I mean, I went to an inner city school. I honestly hanged out with more minorities than anybody, and learning how to diversify just my network, and also learning to diversify the age group, because you're dealing with people who were in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and even 60s. And being 18 years old and being a person of my generation and understanding and just connecting with them, that was a shock in itself. But those are the challenges that Inroads really honestly they will sit down and talk to you about. You understand? Any other questions? I know everybody has questions. Come on. Something. All right, speak up. Inroads is the organization that helped me connect to PwC. Like, they polished me up. They did all the phone calls. PwC called me in for an interview, but they really sent out my resume. They actually gave me accreditation. They actually made me better, not better. They made me who I am. Like, they made sure that you were getting a thorough individual. They were the people that supported me. They were my support group. So Inroads was what helped me out. But to answer your question, yes, I did apply for Inroads before I talked to PwC. Inroads, there's a website. I think it's inroads.org. Is that correct? You can actually get in contact with him right there. By the end of this, he'll tell you everything you need to know. And if anything, I'm on campus. I'm constantly involved in so many activities. If you see me, Gene, I need to talk to you. Grab me by my shoulder, pull out my headphone, anything. I'll speak to you on behalf. I'm somewhat of an ambassador for Inroads, so I'm more than willing to answer any questions. Anything else?
And he says that he has trouble public speaking.
Melvin just made the same comment that I was going to make. It actually speaks to part of the Inroads process, which is they are very selective in terms of the quality of the students that they bring on board, and they take some very good raw materials and refine them. And speaking of refining raw materials, I have the pleasure now of introducing two of the people that I've had the ability to work with over the past few years. Christina Shaw actually is someone who, in her first year of internship with us, actually worked in my department, which was great. And I'll make her blush right now, but I remember the first time I introduced her in a diversity meeting, I said that if I have the opportunity to be at MetLife for another 12 or 15 years, I'll be working for her. She's that good. The other person, Yomira Reyes, who's going to be coming up, works every day in the sales department, which is a group I spend my time supporting. And she is the person more than any other in our company that makes sure that our 400 people out in the field and the 2,500 agencies we work with work smoothly. So with that, I want to bring up two of my favorite people in the company.
So good afternoon, everyone. I am very excited to be here with Christina and with all of you. As Dan mentioned, and like Jean was saying, this was somewhat of a unique opportunity for us because we've been so busy involved in our everyday work experience that we didn't think that we'd have an opportunity to spend an afternoon with students. I've been out of school now for 4 years. I graduated from PC in 2006, so to be here with a class of URI students at 4:30 in the afternoon is pretty impressive, right? Pretty good, right? So Christina, I don't know if you want to take a few minutes to tell them a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Hey, everybody. My name is Christina Shaw. I'm just going to advance this slide. And just so you know, Yomira and I were kind of on the same page. We want this to be very informal, so you can stop and ask us questions at any point. This is a little bit about Yomira and myself. But before we do that, let's just get a gauge of who are we dealing with. How many freshmen we have in the room? Whoa. Wow. All right, freshmen. Was that 14? 2014? Okay. I'll be a little excited, y'all. Okay. Sophomores? Juniors? Seniors? Okay, that's all we have. One senior, okay. Again, my name is Christina Shaw. I am 22 years old, and I graduated 4 months ago, so I'm not that far removed from where you are now. Maybe from the freshman year, but I just graduated, so I do understand what it's like to be a college student. I went to Bryant University, class of 2010, bachelor's in management, and I interned with MetLife for 2 years. My first internship was in human resources, which was a great opportunity to kind of get a broad overview of the company and the MetLife enterprise. And right now, I'm a project analyst in the multicultural sales and service team. So we deal a lot with diversity as it relates to the marketplace, to our consumers. Go ahead. Yeah. Move on. Okay. We'll just advance it. Okay. Go ahead.
All right. So what we wanted to focus on this afternoon was just share a little bit about what we did to prepare us for the workplace. And some of what you see here is what we did in school to help us prepare when we entered the workforce, how Inroads, the Inroads organization, helped us prepare for the workforce, and how our internships at MetLife Auto and Home also helped us prepare and develop certain skill sets to make us successful in our positions. As it relates to school, one of the things that I would like to emphasize for all of you is to be selective about your coursework and the classes that you choose. Seek input from your guidance counselors, your advisors, and other students, your peers, etc., that can give you advice on the right classes to take, because that will make a difference in the amount of skills that you learn as it relates to the business world. And I'm sorry if I'm a little nervous. I haven't been in front of a group in a while. In terms of school, the academic internships that were also provided were extremely beneficial. My internship specifically related, or I obtained through Inroads. So I didn't really have any internships on campus, but I know that there were various academic internships available to all of the students through various organizations. And in terms of extracurricular involvement, I, for example, was involved in the Hispanic organization of PC, and I took on a leadership role within that organization to help me develop communication skills, organizational skills, etc., so that when I did go into the classroom or when I did go into the workforce, I could help, I could have some strong skill sets behind me. I'll let Christina touch a little bit about how Inroads helped her prepare for the workplace.
Okay. I too had a similar path to Yamira. During college, I was very active. I was a commuter student, so I had to kind of live in my bags. But what I did was, when I chose my coursework and my academic internships, I found something that obviously paid well because I was a poor college student. But I wanted to get something that I could get academic credit for. So if you do have a program like that, take advantage of it, because my senior year I was able to take just 4 classes, and then my 5th class was an internship. And 4 of those classes, by the time your senior year, a lot of them are electives. You've done most of your major coursework. In terms of extracurricular involvement, it's important to balance that, to make sure that you're not neglecting your academics, because that too, your GPA is very important, particularly in regards to when we talk about Inroads and other internship programs and companies seeking interns. But extracurricular involvement is very important, and it's an opportunity for you, especially as freshmen, to exercise your leadership skills. So if you're not used to public speaking, if you're not used to project management or telling people, delegating work, here is the time where you can get that practice and get that experience, because as soon as you get an internship, that's the first thing you're going to be expected to do, is maybe not lead others, but take leadership over yourself, and time management, project management, those kinds of things. And extracurricular involvement is a great opportunity to practice those skills. I'll just go ahead and transition right into the Inroads program. I just completed the Inroads program in the summer of 2009. I received, the great thing about the Inroads program, as Gene said, and I'll reiterate some of the things that he did, but they do polish you and they do get you comfortable. There's some things like, how many of you all, like, what are some rules you guys know about what to do and not to do on an interview? How about what not to do? Anybody done something they shouldn't have done on an interview? Chewing gum. How many of you maybe have gone in an interview with a mint or something in your mouth, and then you go to say something and... Okay. How many of you like sweaty palms? You get those sweaty palms? You ever shake hands with somebody with sweat and you're like, ew. Well, not that that's necessarily a big deal. People understand that you're nervous. But Inroads taught us, wipe those palms real quick. Just real quick. Wipe those palms and you'll be just more confident. Texting. Can you believe somebody texted in their interview? Pulled out their phone. And when the interviewer, I know Carlos told us this story, the interviewer told them, what are you doing? Oh, it's my ride. Your ride texted you during your interview and you answered them? Not a good idea. So Inroads is the company, the organization that will prepare you, and it's something that Yamira and I took advantage of during our college experience. Again, emphasis on professionalism and corporate culture, interview and resume building skills, and I'm going to go ahead and let Yamira touch on the leadership and networking.
In terms of leadership development training, one of the things that Inroads provided for us during the weekends, on Saturdays, we had to commute to Boston, Massachusetts for leadership development training. Bright and early, 8 o'clock in the morning, a bunch of us used to carpool. We had a great time during the ride there. But when we arrived at the training, it was business. It was serious business from the moment you walked in the door. So from your professional attire to just overall presentation, Inroads pretty much screened you to make sure that when anybody looks at you, because right, the first impression is what matters, or what people see is your physical appearance. They would just make sure that we were on the right page, right, heading in the right direction from that regard. And if we weren't, they would let us know. And if you're not part of Inroads, you can use your peers and your parents, even though, we typically don't go to our parents for fashion expertise, but just, it will help you know how to present yourself in a manner that when you're going into an employer, you can, make an impression on them and why they should hire you and bring them into their organization. In regards to the leadership development training, I don't know what services URI offers here, but if there are, seek them out, talk to your professors, and participate, because that will help you gain skill sets that you otherwise probably wouldn't get exposure to in any other venue. I'll transition into speaking to how MetLife Auto and Home has helped me and prepare as a future person in the career force. In terms of time management skills, again, I couldn't stress anymore. I work for the sales organization, and it's a tough group because they're people that are focused on relationship building. And so when it comes to punctuality and, planning in advance, far enough in advance, sometimes that's not something that is one of our strengths as a department. But one of my responsibilities is to try and help manage that and help keep them on time and on track and follow through with some of the commitments that they make to different partners in our organization or to different individuals or agents within the community that they make commitments to. So I enjoy that because it also helps me stay on track on my time management skills and punctuality skills. In terms of project management, you all, I don't know yet if you've had to work in project groups. I'm sure the senior in the back has had to. But what you will do here at URI is you'll be required to work with different groups on projects, assignments, proposals, and you'll get to see that the teams will be very different. The dynamics of the group will be very different. People's personalities will be different. And this is something that Christina and I do each and every day. Every day. So we have to learn how to work with different people, different styles, people that do not, here you'll have the students here with you. The folks that we work with are virtual associates, meaning they work in the field, in their homes sometimes, etc. And also, one of the things that I think has helped me tremendously is taking personal accountability for my work and what I deliver. So when I say personal accountability, is taking responsibility and ownership for the work that you produce. So here in school, you take accountability for the assignments you prepare and the homework you deliver to your professors, the grades you bring home to your parents who are sometimes paying for your or most of the time paying for your education. At work, we're held accountable for what we produce and what we bring back to the organization. So the same accountability skills that you're learning here in school, you will take with you to the workforce. Any questions? Because I know we've said a lot, and we really our intent wasn't to make this formal. Our intent was to make this as informal as possible, so feel free to stop us at any point, because the more interactive this session is, I think the easier and more comfortable we'll all feel. So any questions so far based on what we've shared? Yes? No. It is a corporate focus, but I remember when I interned, there were some folks that worked in the health industry and technology industry, like they worked for an aircraft company, so the company that developed airplanes. So it's a variety. You can get a variety of different experiences through Inroads. So it's focused in the corporate and business setting, but you can definitely get exposure. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we work at MetLife, but the people that we work with weren't necessarily business majors in school. So, do major in something that you really think you'll love and that you'll enjoy. Because just because that's what you majored in, it doesn't mean that that's necessarily where you'll end up when you graduate. Any other questions?
Oh, okay. Thank you for that question, Gene. During the day at MetLife, first of all, let me just say that MetLife Auto and Home has a very great and friendly corporate culture. So when you walked in the door, everyone, if you were the intern in the department, you were spoiled. You were the baby. You were very cared for. And not to say that you were micromanaged. They weren't looking over your shoulder. What are you doing? Okay, you're not doing that right. But they cared for you in a very they had good intentions toward you. So a typical day would be you'd come in, you show up on time for work, you check your voicemail, you check your email or Lotus Notes, which is normally any unread email is read. So typically you open your box to about 15 or 20 read emails coming in, and you check, and the first ones you want to answer are the ones from your manager, your immediate supervisor. So you do a sort by sender, and at that time my immediate supervisor was Catherine Smith. So anything from her got dealt with immediately. After voicemail and email and every other type of mail, then you manage your projects. So you should always keep a Word document or Excel file of all the things you're working on, who asked you to work on them, who you're reporting to, when they assigned you the project, and where you are and if you're finished. So it should either say this project, the description of it, and if you're done, or if it's still ongoing, or if it's not complete. That way you know your major priorities. So that would be the main thing that you would do. And then throughout the day, you would go about reaching out to the necessary resources to get your projects done. So I know my first project was working on some communications that were going out to all of the salespeople in the company. So my job was to look at the documents, review them, not just edit them like for typographical errors, but look at some of the calculations and different things that were in there as a part of, well, it was human resources, so we were dealing with compensation things. But it was really reviewing those documents and making sure that they were communicating the right information and that it was up to date. So I would, if I had a question, I would call and leave a voice message or send an email. Sometimes we have instant messaging system at MetLife, so we would use that as well. Wait to hear the response, and then once I got the information I needed, I would move forward. So throughout the day, you just balanced your projects. You would say, well, this isn't due until next week, but this is due tomorrow, so I need to focus most of my day on this. And then you would take your lunch break for an hour or so, come back, and then continue for the rest of the day. Most of the time you will have meetings, so you have to make sure that you balance your time with, okay, I have to meet with my manager to discuss where I am on this project. Always prepare for your meetings. It's not as difficult as you would think. Just look at your calendar, say I have a meeting with this person, so that means I need to have this, this, and this ready because they're going to ask me about it. So that's typically what a day would be like, and I hope that wasn't too long.
We look at leadership, we look at GPA, we look at how that resume is structured, we look at how polished you are, so that way you know how much you need to work on individual is very different. So anybody who is coachable, open, and hungry for opportunities. One more question. Who's going to take the last one? Anywhere from 10 to 12 in summer. And then some of the companies, they want a 40 plus school year to get to that, 1 hour to provide the campus in office. Okay? Yes.
Question, do you have guidelines for pay, how much intern should be paid? And then also, are you open to all races of ethnicity, or is it
Very good question.
emerging majority?
I'll take the second question first. With Inroads, our companies, what they do is they look to us to help them with their diversity initiative. The diversity has been defined as the ALANA, which is the African American, Latino, Asian American. However, the training that we provide, which is called a candidate prep session, anybody can come to those, and I would encourage you to come to those, because that's when you're going to learn about the nuts and bolts of how to prepare for an how to dress, questions to ask, and how to research your company. And so when we invite you to those, what we will do is we also will collect your resume. And through our contacts that we have in our company, we can forward your resume onto those companies. And then we can give you, different takes of how to kind of go out with your development and so on. So the companies, when they look to us, they partner with us because they're looking to improve the diversity within the workforce. So we will take you and we will train you from the very beginning. And we understand and we partner with the different schools and universities that we know what your career centers offer in terms of development, and then we will channel you through that. So we can also get you put in the doors. Okay? So that's how we do it that way. The first question, answer completely? Okay. And then the first part of the question is, do we provide a guideline for salaries? Well, we work with different companies, and so, for example, the accounting firms, it's a new example. We have the top four, KPMG, URI, Deloitte, and PwC. So what we do is we provide them a guidance without divulging the confidential information about how much PwC pays the intern versus Deloitte. So we give them a range. So we'll say, when you look at Inroads as a whole, it depends on what it is. If you're in the engineering industry, you're making anywhere from $18,000 to $28,000 an hour. If you're in accounting, in public accounting, you'll start at 22 to about $26,000. So that's the range. So we give ranges, and if you're in retail, if you're in insurance, if you're in, it can start from $13 an hour up to $15 to $16 an hour. So those are the types of, it depends what industry you're in. The guidance, we provide that to our clients. And so therefore, that's where the salary comes in. All right? You good? So just to recap, Gene said it. The experience is your best teacher. You've had 3 different experiences here and how they went. Your experience is going to be very different. So first of all is to develop yourself to get your foot in the door. Why are they going to hire you over a Bryant or a Providence College student? Okay? So what you got to do? We want to see what sets you apart. And so you have to get involved now. You have to go to your career services now and really get that resume in to see what it looks like, because that's the first thing they're going to see. And when you come in there, you go into the dress for success. You Google that; it'll tell you how to dress. For different industries, it's very different for different industries. So you need to understand what that looks like. Get involved. Go out there. Get out of your comfort zone. If you don't get the internship, it's not going to kill you. It's just going to give us an opportunity to say, can you give me some feedback on how I did? Always, when you leave an interview, always ask them that question: how did I do? And let them tell you. And so you kind of go and then take notes. Don't not go in there with nothing to write, because it says something about you. And so once you do all those things, I always say this, people still ignore me, but Wall Street Journal, you need to start reading that. It's because you're a first-year student. And it's one of the most prestigious newspapers in the world, and it's the easiest one to read. I look at the Wall Street Journal and I look at the Financial Times. They're saying the same thing, but for some reason I understand it when the Wall Street Journal writes it. Okay? So you need to be informed of your company, your industry. Do Google alerts. I am a big fan of Google alerts. All my clients, I have them on Google alerts. Something come up on that client, I get an email the next day, tells me what's going on in that company. And get involved in your school. If you college, go to the career center. Go to the career center. Go to the career center. I'm telling you, they're the ones that are going to really guide you. So that's all I have for you. And so I want to thank you for sharing this afternoon with us. Wish you a safe, strong day weekend. And I'll stay in Canada if you have any questions. And I'm done, so thank you. I want to thank the speakers and them for being here with us. So please give them a hand.
Everybody, if you're interested in being a part of the mailing list for Inroads, please sign this pad before you leave. Okay, thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for your support of URI Diversity Week this week.